Okay, so we're now going to start moving into the more tactical advice and really getting down into the nitty gritty of how to structure your day to be a more efficient and more productive salesperson. Because that's one of the questions I get asked all the time as well, which is, what do I do during the day? Okay, boom, I got my salesperson hat on. Now what do I do? Do I go onto the street like you told me, Ryan, and try to meet people at a coffee shop? I don't know when to do it. What if I only have one appointment at 1 o'clock? What do I do the rest of the day? And that's the way I felt for a long time. It was weird because when we're in sales, we're entrepreneurs at the end of the day. We're just independent contractors getting that 1099 at the end of the year. No one tells us what to do. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you are part of a team and you're being told what to do, and that's great. And maybe you're not, and you're really trying to figure out what you do every day to be a better salesperson and to sell more. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. And it's called Finder, Keeper, Doer. That's my secret sauce. You now have it. I'm going to make a sauce bottle and give it to you. Finder, Keeper, Doer sauce all over your day. And before we go into it, I want to let you know where it came from. And it came from the summer of 2011. I was depressed after one deal that didn't work out, and I went to Mexico with my family on vacation, and I got really badly sunburnt. If you're seeing me, I am not great in the sun, okay? And I got really badly sunburnt, and my face blistered everywhere. And I was really upset about that, and so I went to the movie theater that was right by our hotel. And at that time, playing only was Mr. Popper's Penguins, starring Jim Carrey. If you haven't seen it, you probably don't need to. And it was in Spanish, no less. And I had my BlackBerry with me, and someone called me in the middle of that movie. It was a guy who had an apartment on 56th Street, and he said, "I got your postcard." And I said, "Weird. I didn't send a postcard to you." He said, "I got your postcard that you sent me 2 years ago, in 2009. And instead of being really excited about this potential seller, who, by the way, had an $8 million apartment that I ended up getting the listing for, yes, I did, I actually felt even worse. Because here I am in Mexico, no deals, no balls up in the air. I'm blistered. I'm watching Spanish Jim Carrey yell at penguins. And the only business that I now have moving forward is a guy who got my postcard 2 years ago. I can't structure my life that way. And so I came up with, in that moment, which is why I remember it so well, Finder, Keeper, Doer. I looked at all of the big companies out there, and I looked at how they run themselves. They have CEOs, they have CFOs, they have COOs, they have IT techs, they have HR, they have all this administrative support, which I cannot afford whatsoever, that no entrepreneur or startup really can. So how can I do that on my own? The same way we talked about the 4 tenets, the why, the work, the wall, the win, it all starts right here. You figure out how to control your business between here and here, you will sell more. And I wanted to structure my day so that when I got back from Mexico, after my face healed, I knew what to do every day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I did that by putting into my calendar a couple hours for Finder time, a couple hours for Keeper time, and a couple hours for Doer time. And I want you to do the same thing. So let's start with Finder. Finder is the controller of the business. So the Finder was the CEO of Ryan Serhant Real Estate Empire, LLC, Incorporated. That's the person who is thinking about how to get new business, how to brainstorm where to find new business. Is it going to be postcards? Is it going to be knocking on people's doors? Which in New York City, if I do that, I get shot, so maybe I won't do that. Is it going to be trying to come up with a conference that I'm going to put together with other real estate agents? What's it going to be? I'm really going to sit there and brainstorm and put my mind to work and figure out how to build my business better than anyone else. And I promise you, you put this into your calendar, you will figure out how to build your business like the CEO of any company would. And so I would do that from like 8 to 10 a.m. every day in my calendar. I would sit there and I would focus on expanding my business. And then from like 12 to 1 p.m., kind of when most people are taking their lunch, that's my Keeper time. That's when I would focus on money, honestly, or the money I didn't have, to be completely honest with you, and where I was going to spend money on advertising. Because if you are your own business, which we all are as salespeople, you need to invest back into yourself. So a little bit of every paycheck that I would get, every commission check, I'd want to put back into my business because you have to spend money to make money. People have been saying it forever, but it's amazing how people don't do it. And honestly, it's crazy how many salespeople don't do it. It's like you get a commission check and you're like, that's mine. I'm not, oh my God, I worked so hard for it, which is true. But at the same time, you need to spend some of that to get more commission checks. You need to reinvest back into your business. So let's say I only had $10 that day to spend. How many stamps does $10 buy me? Okay, that's a lot of stamps. I'm gonna handwrite letters later during my doer time to one building or to one neighborhood. I'm gonna handwrite them so they're personal because no one does that anymore. And I'm gonna spend that time, because my time is worth literally $0 an hour to me right now, and I'm going to invest that money back into those letters, and maybe I will get a call from one of them from one of those houses. Or maybe I had $100. Who can I take to coffee? Who can I take to a drink? Who can I take out to dinner that is a good contact for me to have? I'm gonna sit there, I'm gonna focus on the money. I'm gonna focus on taxes, I'm gonna focus on the financial health of my business, and I'm gonna do that every day. Because when you don't, you forget about it. I'm also gonna use that keeper time to focus on goals as well, which you'll see how we do in another video, because it's really important to remember that you have income goals, not just sales goals. You can say to yourself all you want, I wanna sell $10 million in real estate this year. I wanna sell $100 million in real estate this year. But if you haven't figured out how you're gonna do it and how you're gonna make the money that is part of those sales, then they're not really goals, are they? They're just dreams and they're stupid. So we're gonna figure out how to do that together later. And then the rest of my day, especially when I first started, was doer time. It was like the majority of my day. The doer time is spent putting everything into action that I came up with as a finder and that I decided to do with my money as a keeper. So that was running around and actually doing the letters, stamping those envelopes, knocking on doors if I could. That was painting the apartments that I couldn't afford to have someone else paint because I needed to remove this yellow wall and the sellers wouldn't do it. And it was my first listing for $399,000. That was 4 hours of my doer time. So that's when you're the foot soldier. That's when you're gonna do the work. And when you first start out, a little bit of your day is finder, a little bit is keeper, and then everything else is doer. But what you want to work towards is to have most of your day be finder. Most of your day figuring out how to build business, bringing in leads because that's what your real job is, and giving it to people underneath you. And if you don't like having people underneath you, it's giving it to yourself so you have more things to work on and you have more balls in the air. So that if one ball drops, it's not the end of the world because you spent a good part of your day every day finding more balls. And then you have a little bit of keeper time, or if you're lucky, you'll hire a bookkeeper, an accountant to do that stuff for you. And then you'll have less time spent stamping envelopes, knocking on doors, and painting yellow walls because you'll have other people doing that for you. And I promise you, from firsthand experience, it's a good feeling. So I'm gonna show you next what my day looks like and how Finder, Keeper, Doer is still structured into even my calendar.